Renzo is so good at teaching moves. When Renzo shows something, he starts off with this story and everyone's riveted. Generally speaking, if you guys get in close, look at the details. Sometimes position matters, even if you've seen the move dozens and dozens of times. Eventually, there's going to be a detail you didn't see the first maybe 50 times or the first 5 times. I've seen Renzo teach the move, same move, through a cycle many, many times. Every time there was something there. I could always get something out of it, whether it was his placement, maybe he described it a little bit differently, maybe there was something that just went over my head previously, but you can never drill a move too many times. What's the old saying about mastering a move? It was done on research, books were written about it, the talent code, roughly 10,000 hours, roughly 10,000 repetitions. It's no accident. Okay, you really, to get to the point where you master something and you don't need to think about it and you're performing efficiently, you got to rep. Eric's on his back. And these are the staple attacks that Renzo's always shown us. When I first went to Renzo's in the 90s, this was something Renzo showed quite often. He wanted his students to get this down and get it down correctly. So once I passed the side control, where are Eric's hands? Pay attention to where his hands are. He's got an arm on the far side of my head. He's got one arm underneath me. Where does Eric want his arm ideally? He wants it either framed or he wants an underhook. Those are better options for him. He definitely doesn't want it here. And here, even though there are things he can do at high levels, it gives me a few more options. So as I mentioned, when I used to roll with Renzo used to smash me. Renzo had dozens of ways of making my arm go from to go to the other side of my head. He'd do it in many, many different ways. And I knew what he was doing. I knew my arm shouldn't be here. He'd make it happen. So we're going to start in this position with his arm on the far side of the head. We're going to recognize the opportunity. We have a cross face, making him look away. We've got downward pressure. We've got an underhook or palm to palm. I'm going to release the cross face. I'm going to use this as a base to push. And I'm going to pull near his tricep and shoulder, and I'm going to pull my right elbow into my hip and trap his arm right in the crook of my elbow. This is the position I want to be in. I want to create back exposure and pull Eric on his side. Okay? If I leave Eric down here and I come in and I just try to pull like this, I'll never pull him off his back. Make yourself strong, like back on the mat. It's not efficient. Same pressure. I can pull my elbow to my hip. I can take his back off the mat. From here, we're going to enter into one of our favorite positions, a dorsal kimura. As I come north-south, I pinch my knees. I switch my arms, and I'm going to grip right near his hand. I'm going to grip my own wrist, keeping his tricep connected to my chest. Even if Eric's holding his gi, I'm going to go this way first to break his grip, and I'm slowly going to put it behind Eric's back. In this position. When you guys are training live, make sure as soon as you break the grip, put it behind their back very slowly. Some people's arms can only go here. Some people can touch the back of their head. Assume they're tight. The second their hand's behind his back, from Eric's perspective, there's not a lot he can do. Just in the training room, it's better he taps. Okay? So once again, his arm's on the far side of the head. I have a cross face. I have an underhook. Release the cross face. I push on the mat, and I pull with my right elbow, creating shear force. When my elbow comes to my hip, that gives me the power to pull him off the mat and expose his back. When Eric goes to get his back on the mat, it's very, very difficult. I'm going to come over to north-south, squeezing my knees together, switch my arms, grab at his hand, and grab my own hand. As his elbow and his tricep are connected, I'm going to pull straight up. Renzo always said, pretend there's a hook on his elbow and there's a pulley attached to the ceiling. You want that upward pressure on his elbow. So if you guys can see, his elbow's being pulled up, his triceps connected to my chest. He makes a nice tight grip. This way first. Slowly put it behind his back. Okay, in advanced class, when you actually want to put a lot of pressure on and we sit through, this turns into a pulling lock. For the purposes of fundamentals, and in the training room, it's perfectly liable to tap people staying on the knees. Okay, let's give it a shot.